Hello students. Day before yesterday we have learned about the rotational effect, that is the moment of force torque, and the formula for the torque we have derived, that is equal to R cross F, where R is the perpendicular distance from the line of action of force and F is the force applied on the body. Now we will find out why do we prefer to use a wrench with long arm. This is the wrench you will see here, and this is the arm of the wrench, and always we are taking this long arm of the wrench. Why it is? Because as we know, the torque due to a force is product of force and the perpendicular distance r of line of action of force from the axis of rotation, and when the length of arm is long, the force F required to produce a given turning effect is smaller. Look at here, as I told you already, the turning effect R cross F, if R is long, maximum turning effect would be there, or we have to apply less force for the same turning effect. For example, if we'll talk about the magnitude, suppose R into F, R cross F. So when talk about the magnitude of this, that is RF, and RF sine theta it would be, okay. And what happened, this R means the effect will be maximum here. If R is maximum means R will be more, F will be more, and sine theta, this value will be maximum, okay. So in such situation, like for example, if I am just taking, this is 90 degree, theta is 90 degrees, so sine will be maximum, so here the sine theta will be 1. Now the overall it will depend on R and F. Now if we have to produce the turning effect, suppose we have to produce the turning effect, that is 48 Newton meter, okay. So in such situation, what we'll do, we can take here R maximum, like if I am taking R as 12, then F would be what? Then F we can take here, that is equal to 4, okay. So the total effect will be 48 Newton, okay. That means if I have taken the R 12 meter and F as 4 Newton, so it will be 48 Newton. Meter is a very large quantity here, but just to explain you, I have just taken 12 meter over here, okay. Otherwise when you talk about the wrench, it will be in centimeter only. Now you will see that the same effect, if we'll see the 48 Newton meter effect we have to produce. In that situation, we can take R, this is as 6 here, suppose 6 meter I have taken, so the force which we have to apply is what? This is equal to 8. 1 minute. This is equal to 8 here, okay. So what we have seen, if we have taken long arm, the with the less effort will produce the same turning effect which we can produce for the more effort and the less length of the arm, okay. So that's why just to apply a very less effort, so that means by applying a very less effort we can open the any of the nut and bolt, okay, with the help of the wrench, if we'll use the long arm over here, okay. Now we'll come to know about the next question, which is having the same explanation, that is why a handle knob is provided near the edge of the plank of the door. And here you can see that this I have explained you when I was explaining you about the rotational axis also. This is the hinge of the door, and this can be considered as the rotational axis. From this, the door is just rotating from this axis, okay. So now the question is that why the knob is provided here at the edges or the edge of the plank of the door. To understand it, again I am telling to you that torque due to the force is maximum when R is maximum, and r which is perpendicular distance of line of action of force from the axis of rotation is maximum, and that is why a handle or knob is provided near the free edge of the plank of the door with is at maximum distance from the hinges. You will see that suppose this is the knob of the door and it is at the maximum distance from the hinge or the rotational axis. So if r is maximum, with less f we can produce same turning effect. If I'll just take this knob a little close to the hinge here, so in that time with the means just to produce the same turning effect I have to apply more force, and if it is just close to hinge or it will be at the hinge, the knob will be at the hinge, at that situation it is means not possible to open the door by applying the force over here, means the maximum force you can apply at the hinge, then also you cannot open or close the door. Okay, so the maximum distance would be there. In such situation the maximum turning effect will be produced with less force, and that's why the knob is provided at the edge of the door. Now we'll see moment of inertia. This is a new physical quantity for you, moment of inertia, and it is defined as moment of inertia of a rigid body about a fixed axis is defined as the sum of the product of masses of all the particles constituting the body and the square of their respective distances from the axis of rotation. Okay, so this is the definition. That means suppose just see this picture. Here you will see the rigid body and it is a rotational axis. If it is a rotational axis and the masses of individual particle like m1 m2 are there, so from the rotational axis the perpendicular distance of m1 is r1, perpendicular distance of m2 is r2, and so on. For the n particle system we can consider that the perpendicular distance of mn is rn. Okay, so it is n particle system, and for this n particle system according to the definition the moment of inertia is what? The moment of inertia is the product of mass and square of perpendicular distance of mass from axis of rotation. So I, that is equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square till mn rn square, because the body is n particle system, this rigid body is n particle system. So the moment of inertia which is represented with letter I, that I is equal to summation of this I equal to 1 to n mi ri square. This way we can write. Okay, so the moment of inertia is what? The moment of inertia is I, which is equal to mass and the square of the perpendicular distance, square of the mass and product of the mass and the square of the perpendicular distance. Okay, and if you talk about the CGS unit of moment of inertia, it will be gram for the mass and centimeter square for the r that is the distance. So it is gram centimeter square, and the SI unit can be SI unit will be kilogram meter square. Okay, now as you can see that the moment of inertia will depend on what? mr square. That means the moment of inertia will depend on mass. If more mass is there, more moment of inertia would be there, and r, obviously this will be what? This is the perpendicular distance of distribution of masses about the means perpendicular distance of the position of mass, you can say, or position of one axis sorry, distribution of mass about the axis of rotation, means where it is distributed, how much distance is there of this mass from the axis of rotation, and it will depend on the position of one axis of rotation also. Okay, so these are the these are the factors on which the moment of inertia is depending, that is the mass of the body and position of the axis of rotation and the distribution of mass about the axis of rotation. Okay, now we'll talk when we talk about the moment of inertia, we'll see how it is depending, because it is depending on the mass. And mass, you know that inertia, already we have defined, that is inertia is what? It is an inherent property of any of the object which resist any of the change. And if it is resist any of the change, if more mass is there, the more inertia would be there. And simply here also, why we are talking about the more inertia, you may now understand, because the formula came I is equal to mr square. If more mass will be there, more inertia will be there. That means the body will resist, of any of the change on that body. You know very well, if a truck is there and if a cycle is there, it is very easy to move the cycle from rest position to any of the velocity. Means it is very easy to set the cycle from the rest position to any of the velocity, and it is very difficult for the truck. And why it is difficult? Because more mass is there of the truck, so that's why it is very difficult. So more mass is there, more inertia is there. And this formula also indicate the same thing, that I is equal to mr square. Okay. Now radius of gyration. Will define the radius of gyration of a body about a given axis is the perpendicular distance of a point from the axis, where if the whole mass of the body were concentrated, the body shall have the same moment of inertia as it has with the actual distribution of mass, and this distance is represented by k. Okay, this is the definition, and according to the definition, what it is saying, it is defined as the distance from the axis of rotation at which if whole mass of the body were supposed to be concentrated. For example, you can see here, this is a rigid body, and suppose this point we'll consider as the center of mass. Center of mass, that means simply you can say that at this point the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. So here I have written as capital M, which is considered as the whole mass of the body, and that will be equal to m1 plus m2 plus dash 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 plus mn, because this rigid body we are considering here as n particle system. So the whole mass, the sum of the whole mass, that is equal to m, and at this point the mass is concentrated over here. So the radius of gyration is what? Where the whole mass of the body is concentrated. So the distance, the perpendicular distance of that point, suppose I am writing this as a point P. So perpendicular distance of point P from the rotational axis, that is k, and this k is called the radius of gyration. So actually the radius of gyration is a distance, perpendicular distance of a point where the whole mass of the body is supposed to be concentrated. And it is like that, means if you just calculate the moment of inertia over here, you will find that the moment of inertia will be same as for the actual mass distribution. That means if we'll talk about the moment of inertia of this rigid body, that will be equal to I is equal to mk square, as the definition said of the radius of gyration. Okay, the moment of inertia at this point at this point, that means where the whole mass is supposed to be concentrated, that at this point the moment of inertia will be same as the actual distribution of the moment of inertia, sorry, for the actual distribution of the masses. Okay, so I is equal to, if we are writing m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus dash 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 till mn rn square. So this will be, this I and this I can be same. The moment of inertia for this body will be same for this formula also and from this formula also. Now suppose, just to prove it, we'll see that, means to find out the value of the radius of gyration, always we see that the rigid body which we are taking, that the particles are identical and it can be considered the same mass of the particle. So in that case m1 equal to m2 equal to m3, till mn, means all the masses are equal, individual masses of the particles are equal, and let we say this will be equal to m. Okay, so and this situation we will just write down in this formula, I equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square till mn rn square. In this formula we'll just replace m1 m2 mn all with m. So we can take m as a common factor here, so I is equal to m, and rest of the thing will be in the bracket, that is equal to r1 square plus r2 square plus dash 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 plus rn square. Okay, and this I, as I told you, for the radius of gyration we have defined already, we have written the formula mk square. So I is equal to mk square, we can write this I is equal to mk square, and that is also equal to what, m r1 square r2 square till plus sorry r1 square plus r2 square plus till rn square. Okay, so mk square will be equal to this quantity. Now mk square will just multiply with the, because it is n particle system, so we'll multiply with n and divide with n, this right hand side, the means the side of the equation. Okay, so in this case what we'll find, mk square, m into n, mass of individual particle, so mass of one particle is m and n particle is m into n, and that can be written as m into n, can be written as capital M also, which is the whole mass of the body. Okay, so this we have replaced m into n with the whole mass of the body, that is equal to m, and it is equal to r1 square plus r2 square till rn square upon n. So this m and this m would be cancelled, both the side the same quantity is there. Now k square is equal to r1 square plus r2 square till dash rn square upon n here, or if we'll just take the square root both the side, left hand side and the right hand side, we'll get the formula here, that is k is equal to root of r1 square plus r2 square plus dash 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 plus rn square upon n. So what you will find, actually this quantity, these are the square of the distances, these are the sum of the square of the distances which are divided with the number of the particles. So this can be taken as mean, this is the mean, and because the square root is there, we can tell this square root mean. So now we'll define in a new words or the other way, that the radius of gyration, that the radius of gyration of a body about an axis is equal to root mean square distance of the various particles constituting the body from the axis of rotation. Okay, so this can be the new definition of the radius of gyration. Now kinetic energy of rotational body. This is a rigid body of n particle system, and this is the rotational axis, you can see here. So if we talk about the kinetic energy, we know the formula is given as half mv square, where the m is mass and v is the linear velocity, and already we have derived the formula for the linear velocity and the angular velocity, and that is equal to v, the linear velocity is equal to omega r, where omega is the angular velocity and r is the perpendicular distance of that particle, you can say. Okay, so this is r. Now kinetic energy k is equal to half m r omega square, we can replace v by r omega the whole square, so it is k is equal to half m r square omega square, and we know very well m r square, that is equal to moment of inertia I, that is moment of inertia is equal to mass into square of the perpendicular distance of that mass from the rotational axis, so it is mr square, and we can replace mr square with the letter I, which is moment of inertia, so mr square we have replaced here with I, k is equal to half I omega square. So this is the formula for the kinetic energy of rotational body. Now if you compare this formula with the this formula of the kinetic energy, that is half mv square and the half I omega square. So you will find that the angular velocity, that means this omega, the angular velocity is the rotational analog of linear velocity. Means omega is the just means whatever work we can see is taking place due to v there in the linear motion or translatory motion, you can say, that will be means the omega is considering here the rotational analog of linear velocity. And it is from this formula you will find that this is an evidence that the parameter moment of inertia I is the derived rotational analog of mass m. That means in the rotation motion, moment of inertia is the same. Moment of inertia will produce the same effect in the translational motion as produced by the mass. Okay, so moment of inertia is the rotational analog of mass, and angular velocity is the rotational analog of linear velocity. And this will be the formula for the kinetic energy of rotational body, that is k equal to half I omega square. Now we'll see relation between torque and the moment of inertia. For this also we'll consider the same body here, the rigid body of n particle system. So consider a rigid body which is rotating about the given axis. This is the axis of rotation with a uniform angular acceleration alpha under the action of the torque. We know that already the rotation, when the any of the body is taking the pure rotation, in such situation angle theta for all the particles will be same, and so that the because the theta is same, so you can say d theta upon d2, that is omega is also same, or you can say simply that d omega upon dt, which is angular acceleration alpha, and that will be also same. Okay, now we'll see let the body consist of particle of masses m1 m2 till mn at perpendicular distance r1 r2 till rn, okay, respectively from the axis of rotation. Now as the body is rigid and angular acceleration alpha for all the particle of the body is same, however their linear acceleration are different due to the different r1 this different perpendicular distance, that is r1 r2 rn. Okay, so what we can say, the linear acceleration, we know the formula for the linear acceleration and the angular acceleration, the relation between these two, and that is the linear acceleration is equal to perpendicular distance of the particle multiplied with the angular acceleration. So for first particle, let's suppose it is a1 equal to r1 alpha, a2 equal to r2 alpha, and a3 equal to r3 alpha. We have taken alpha common here, as already it is indicated or means inform you that alpha will be same for all the particle. So a1 equal to r1 alpha, and this is a2 equal to r2 alpha. This way we can write. Now we know that torque acting on the body can be given by the formula r cross f, and here because it is n particle system, the torque is given by r1 cross f1 plus r2 cross f2 until rn cross fn. Okay, now as we know the r1 r2 all are means r1 r2 rn all these are the perpendicular distance, so obviously the theta, that sine theta or theta will be 90 degree and sine theta will be sine 90, which is equal to 1. So simply we can write the torque is equal to r into f. That means for the n particle system, when we are writing, the torque is equal to, we can write r1 f1 plus r2 f2 plus and so on. This will be plus rn fn. Okay, now this is r1, the force from the Newton's second law of motion. We know that the force is equal to mass into acceleration, and this acceleration is the linear acceleration. So we can write in place of f1, that is m1 a1, and in place of f2 it is m1 a2, and so on till rn, and this will be equal to mn mn an. Okay, now the torque is equal to r1 m1 linear acceleration and angular acceleration, we have already seen the relation between these two. So a1 is written as r1 multiplied by r1, that is multiplied by here alpha, okay, now plus r2 m2, then again in place of a2 we can write here r2 into alpha, and so on till rn mn, and in place of an we can write here rn into alpha. Now we'll see tau is equal to what? It is m1 r1 square alpha m2 r2 square alpha plus, and so on. You will see that mn rn square alpha. Now we'll take alpha as a common, so m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square, and so on till mn rn square, and alpha we have taken here common, so the tau is equal to, this can be written as summation, the m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square till mn rn square can be written as I is equal to 1 to n summation, this is mi ri square, and multiplied with here, this is, we can write alpha, and this quantity is what? This is actually moment of inertia, that is, so this moment of inertia, this quantity is, and it is alpha. So what we found now, that is tau is equal to I alpha. This is the relation between the torque and the angular acceleration, and we'll define now. Suppose we'll take here alpha is equal to 1, then tau is equal to what? It is I into 1, or we can say tau is equal to I. Now we'll define here, hence the moment of inertia of a body about a given axis is numerically equal to the torque acting on the body rotating with unit angular acceleration about it, okay. So this will be the formula here, and this equation, the tau is equal to I alpha, this equation is called the fundamental equation of rotation or law of rotation, and it is correspond to the relation, that is F is equal to ma, which is the fundamental equation of the linear motion.